Hershey's is more than chocolate. It's an invitation to stop and savor the unmistakable taste that reminds us that life is delicious. Hershey's is more than chocolate. It's an invitation to stop and savor the unmistakable taste that reminds us that life is delicious.
He loves me. He loves me not. He loves me. He loves me not. He loves me.
Warm and flaky and 15, everyone loves Pillsbury Grands.
Make dinner pop.
When you feel trapped, you need to feel free. When you need to feel free, you try hang gliding. When you try hang gliding, you crash into things. When you crash into things, the grid goes down. When the grid goes down, crime goes up. And when crime goes up, your dad gets punched over a can of soup. Don't have your dad get punched over a can of soup.
Lil Dizzy's Cafe.
Where after we get our phrase room, we come to get our grub.
Here at Lil Dizzy's, even a man of the cloth will give in to the temptation of the house specialty, a fiery cup of Creole gumbo.
My mother had a saying, it's so good you want to slap your mother. Thank God she's in Philadelphia because she probably gets slapped.
I have met people who have, I guess they have a perception that being prepared for an emergency is kind of a gloom and doom topic. And I don't see it that way. And I know plenty of friends in California who have earthquake survival kits. And to me, that's just being smart. What's going on with our planet?
You know, we're one storm away from the unknown, pretty much. At any point, you have to prepare for this stuff. Think about the last 10 years. Sandy, you've got Katrina, you've got more Oklahoma, you've got now all these big events. It's not just a small storm these days. These are big storms.
What would you say to people watching right now? Why is it so important to be prepared?
Well, because we're going to see more storms. You know, we have more active weather in the years to come. We can see that in these climate models that we look at. You know, by the time we get to tomorrow, it's too late. Now is the time to kind of think about what you would do step by step if you were in the middle of a Sandy or a Hurricane Katrina, where the government takes days, weeks, months to respond, the power's out.
And we have seen that.
We see it all the time.
You saw that in Sandy.
In
People
fact,
were how long without power?
That's become sort of the standard rule now, that expect weeks, and in some cases months, without power.
I may not be coming to you. You need to be prepared for your emergency.
This seed as part. God had a son, but he wanted a family. He planted a son to create. I said, Mike, will this law of the seed work? I said, I think so. He said, I don't know if it'll work in Africa or not. I said, have any fruit in? But I'm going to pray for 300. But I'm going to pray for 300. And when I finish my prayer, they will start a 17-minute countdown. And do not call until I'm down. And do not call until I have completed our prayer together. Listen carefully. It's possible to sow it on your credit card, and if I were you, I would ask the Lord to wipe out your credit card debt with this seed as part of the authorization. I really would. Now, you can't buy a miracle with a check. A man's a fool who thinks he can throw God a $100 bill and get a miracle. A missionary in Africa said, Mike, will this law of the seed work anywhere in the world? I said, I think so. He said, I don't know if it'll work in Africa or not. I said, you have any fruit in Africa? Any trees in Africa? and love.
Look at all these Egyptians behind him.
And I have no idea why. There must be something God's trying to thrust it. And I want you to quickly go to the phone. When you call, say, I want Mike Murdoch's new book, 7 Laws for Uncommon Success. Go to the phone. Delayed obedience is rebellion. Get off the sofa. Dial the number that's on the screen. The Lord stirred me about the...
Hello, you have reached the Inspiration Ministries Camp Meeting line. Please let us know how we can serve you today. To sow your seed, please press 1. To receive prayer, please press 2. You have reached our after-hours message center. Our prayer center hours are Monday through Friday, 9 p.m. to 6 p.m. If you would like to hear these options again, please press pound.
On the screen right now. Thousands of people that do not even believe that Jesus Christ heals. There's millions of people that do not even believe in the Holy Spirit. I can't speak German, speak Portuguese, speak Spanish. What I make happen for God's family, He makes happen for my family. 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 You have every right to expect a supernatural reaction from God.
On the bus, you know what I'm saying? Like shit, we was gonna, the scenario, we was gonna already go down anyway, you know what I'm saying? But who to say somebody was gonna be dead, you know what I'm saying? We just going to hit a lick, you know what I'm saying? Or shit, whatever came with it. So, we was on the bus, you know what I'm saying, in downtown Dallas. Like shit, man, fuck that, you know what I'm saying? Let's hop on the train. Let's go to downtown Garden, you know what I'm saying? And we gonna rob somebody. Y'all the niggas with the money, just being real. Let's go out there where the rich white folks stay at, you know what I'm saying, rob one of them. I went back and asked them, like, man, y'all got a cigarette? You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah. When they, you know what I'm saying, I just blanked out, you know what I'm saying, like, when that shit happened.
What would you say to either of these families? They leave behind babies and widows.
I got a family too.
So you're gonna, what do you think is gonna happen to you now?
Tell you just like I'm gonna tell the judge. And then the motherfuckers at Garland anyway already told me, oh, you fucked up. Well, maybe so.
I think people tonight will hear your side of the story and unless think this is sick that you feel this way. How do you respond to that?
How I respond? Fuck. Even if they sell it. My cousin, as soon as they locked us up in Garland, you know what I'm saying, and the feds or the lieutenants got up in his face talking about all that time, he broke down and started crying. You know what I'm saying, just like a hoe. That's accomplished the murder though.
How much money did you get from them?
Shit, I don't know. I wasn't finna go to no damn ATM. I ain't that, you know what I'm saying? That don't make sense. Just like when they stick that damn needle in my woman, they gonna laugh at me. Look at that nigga. Dumb motherfucker. You know how y'all is, dog. Fuck, just like I said. Fuck his family too, both of them. Tell you good, I said I love you, my family, dude. Yeah, make sure my mama see that. I'm on with my lawyer. I don't even need a fucking lawyer.
Do you have a lawyer yet?
Nah, I ain't got the money for one I showed. Hell, I ain't got no $1 million for no fucking bond or no 100 G's either.
Still not an ounce of sympathy, not an ounce of remorse for them or their families?
No. Fuck.
Investigators gravitated toward a bizarre and disturbing theory that the fire starter could actually be a firefighter. Believe it or not, it happens more often than you'd think.
If you just do a online search, you will find about 100 firefighter arrests every year in this country for arson.
A part-time Falmouth firefighter has been arrested for arson.
Betrayal within the brotherhood.
A convicted arsonist, a former volunteer firefighter.
Investigators and authorities say just by the grace of God, and of course we'll have a lot more on this story tonight.
The Eye Opener's Kimberly Bookman is live in Boston with the bold move that may have just saved the day. Kimberly?
Yeah, Erica, a big thanks to the security guard that was stationed inside this building. He jumped the guy, held him down until help arrived. No great mystery for firefighters arriving at the Masonic Grand Lodge. The lobby reeked of lighter fluid, a white bottle left on a couch for all to see.
Just surreal. Can't even believe it.
Investigators say a 31-year-old man stormed in, doused the couches, and flicked a lighter to set a fire. But it didn't ignite thanks to a security guard stationed inside who tackled the guy and held him until police arrived.
I was upstairs, I came down, and everything was going on.
There were about 30 members upstairs at a meeting at the time. None of them hurt in this building at the corner of Tremont and Boylston, which has had 2 fires break out here before.
The good friends, and yet politics when he went into the cabinet because of being a Rothschild. There is a price to pay for also being in that position.
Frankly, I don't think so. Naturally, the satirical papers like Le Canard Enchaîné obviously would point out, having come from the Rothschild Bank to be Prime Minister, they came out with an issue with RF on each side, I explained. On the left, it meant Rothschild Frères, Rothschild brothers. On the right, République Française.
Yes.
It was a nasty way of attacking, but in fact...
What is the determining factor in human behavior?
What is the determining factor? It's hard to guess. As I tried to put it in, I think, a paragraph that you're referring to, one thinks it's reflection, the brain. And I think that in more cases than one, it's a mixture of impulses and of conditions surrounding one. And I think that more often than not, people follow the course of least resistance, or the obvious, the easiest way to go, the most tempting, the most satisfactory course of action, perhaps more than the one that a cold-blooded analysis would have dictated.
For anybody
yes, I know,
in any way is interested,
I touch
is
everything.
France's Mediterranean ports
Yes.
being so close to northern Africa, and that at all times France must be, again, self-interested.
Yes, naturally, is to remain at least in good relations with the soft underbelly, as Churchill called it, which is North Africa. Former French colonies, no more, French-speaking countries, not entirely now because Arabic has taken over, but I mean still French culture in many ways. And France can't afford to have Soviet bases. Therefore, the first priority is to remain in good terms with them, which means that the best the French can do is to remain even-handed between Israel and the Arab countries.
Isn't that...
At least that's what I was trying to convey.
That word even-handed can sometimes be a buzzword.
Yes, because France has to remain at least in not too offending terms with North Africa. But I don't know what even-handed means, and as you say, there's such a difference, but an even hand might be an unfair one.
And
one way or the other.
You were a visionary in the early days of foreseeing France leaving Lebanon and Syria,
yes,
and their influence.
I don't remember so very well. You see, I got this mission when I was still in the army, which was naturally just really an occasion to travel. And I went to Palestine, it was not yet Israel, at Easter 1945. And I remind you that I spent the Seder at En-Gev, which is a little kibbutz on the other side of the Sea of Galilee, the Kinneret, with Arthur Kessler, who was my friend, and a young man whom I didn't know who became my friend, who knew none other than Teddy Kollek.
Yes.
And I also naturally had talks with French officers and intelligence officers, either in Egypt or in Palestine. Mm-hmm. My elder son, David, mm-hmm. when I left for America, was the only one that they wanted to elect to take over from me. I didn't want it to be hereditary. I thought it should be someone else. And they didn't, and they wanted David, and furthermore, he's also on the board of the Jewish Agency. So he's very Jewish and very immersed in Jewish activities. But I'm not ashamed of what I do or what I think of my philosophy. You don't forget that normally you expect girls to marry.
Yes.
And therefore they'll no more be Rothschilds.
So we see our guest and his wife with the marvelous jeweled heads of the hind and the deer.
Yes, the hind and the deer, the weeping hind.
Marie-Helene was almost the breath of fresh air in what would call the midlife crisis.
Yes, well, it was in the 60s, you know.
Yes.
And she has this imagination, this gift, this artistic taste, so that when she gives a party of that sort, it's not a social party, mm-hmm. it's a poetic party, it's an artistic creation.
Have you photographed
It's a magic night for the people, and it's not a social event or polite event.
Berenguer, have they been filmed? I mean, do you have a video person there taking
No,
so that
no,
they
what
are...
a good question.
Yes.
I have kept no diary of my life, and therefore I've missed so many things that I probably should have put in my book. And there was no videotape, and there were photographs, and as you know and as you've shown, but that we have no film of that. Perhaps it's better. You just keep a memory, and it's sort of all the more in your imagination and in the clouds.
If you want to know who owns the United States, it used to be who owns New York, Columbia University. Well, who owns the U.S.? Try looking at Santa Fe Industries. Try looking at some of the billion-dollar contracts given to Bechtel and Aramco. One of the important books, and documented by a young man who had served on the Senate subcommittee of the Foreign Economic Policy.
begin to show.
And liftoff. Liftoff. 26 Space Shuttle mission, and it has cleared the tower.
Altitude 4.3 nautical miles, downrange distance 3 nautical miles. Challenger, go and throttle up. My God.
Yes, I need to record these also. Well, I'm recording. Papa! Is he okay? He doesn't move!
They got him. They're going to take care of him.
He doesn't move! You kill him! You kill him!
Medical attention right now. I just need to say over here.
You're killing my husband!
They'll take care of him. Medical, okay?
I need to... Please, somebody tell me that he's alive! He's alive!
Stay over here.
I need to know that he's alive! Please!
Stand up. They're here. Check on.
When it's over and the heart breaks and the cracks begin to show. cracks begin to show. Leave the past
demanding an explanation of chemtrails.
It's not the same as conducting some localized test for some defensive project. This is open air operations. It's not a test. This thing is in place.
We follow them at times with spotters in different areas, watching the planes loop, come back around, and we know from the FAA records that the jets from commercial airlines fly in straight lines. The jets that we see leaving the Pacific jet contrails move in directions that normal jets wouldn't fly because it would use too much fuel and put them off schedule. And the jets that we see here do loops. We've got pictures of them looping the same X's and crosshatches.
Full-scale secret operation that includes not only the U.S. but Europe and the rest of the world?
Well, that's apparent because you can see the pictures from all over the world, and I get them constantly. Some areas are worse than others. The excuse for this is, number one, weather modification, number two, to save us from global warming, and number three, to save us from the terrorists. A lot of these programs, of which there are many patterns and which has been designated as wake vortex simulation, go on to explain how if there is a biological attack by terrorists at some point, that these exercises and practices will, in a sense, save us with the spider webbery that comes down from the aerosol spraying, potentially gathering the chemical mass spray that could be sprayed on any given population. And the only people who have been doing this, that is biological experiments on the American people, is the military themselves, which has been admitted from everything from Operation Shad to the spraying that happened in San Francisco, I believe back in the 60s and the 70s, that literally killed people.
Again, I may not be able to ascribe intent, but there will be increased mortality as well as the potential of a huge host of unknown pathogens that we are subject to. And this is not based on speculation. There's a whole arena of biological research that we haven't even begun to touch on. You're talking about dominating our air supply without the human consent in a way that is difficult for many of us certainly to conceive, even in the light of sufficient and overwhelming evidence.
Want to see some allergens?
Ew! What is that thing?
They could be all around you right now. How would you deal with them?
Ninjas.